Hello, friends. It's John Connor the third of episode 225, everyone. Such a big milestone. This was Spectacular Spider-Man. It'd be two Spider-Mans facing each other. Which one's the real one? I think I will have a X-Men Uncanny 225 in my mind, but I don't think Kitty was in the title at that point. Um, so today I'm going to review All New Doop Volume 4, the penultimate issue. And then we're going to spoil the heck out of X-Men United 2, Magik and Colossus 3, Ultimate Wolverine 16, the ultimate final issue, Godzilla Infinity Roar 3 quickly, and then Inglorious X-Force 4, Storm's Earth's Mightiest, Mutant 3, and then... Okay. So, let's get into it. All New Dupe 4. This came out in September 2014. It would have cost you $3.99. It's rated T plus. The first Guardians of the Galaxy movie is coming out. And it's brought to us by Peter Milligan, the writer. Artist is Federico Santagatti and David LaFente. Which I don't think I noticed. I think it's the same thing where one does all the dupe stories and then the other does like the real world stuff. On color artist Laura Aldred, letter VC's Clayton Cowles, cover art by Michael and Laura Aldred, assistant editor Devin Lewis, Nick Lowe, the editor, Axel Alonso, editor-in-chief, Joe Quesada, chief executive officer, and Dan Buckley, publisher, and Alan Fine, executive producer. There is a green potato looking thing that lives with the X-Men. He is Dupe. Previously, Roz, a member of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants from a far future, told Dupe that Dupe's mother has a dark secret. Desperate to know what could be, Dupe summoned his mama from the Margelina and immediately wished he hadn't. And you can follow along on my YouTube and TikTok channels at Jacko SII. Um, Karolinska Hospital, Sweden, 1957. The hospital room of film director Ingmar Bergman, which if you're a big fan of What Are You Watching podcast, one of my favorite film podcasts. Up there with PlayStation Access's Red Shirt Cinema and um Turtle Soup's friend of the show, How's We Sees It. And then I've been getting very addicted to Argonauts, which is based off of the ARG podcast alternate reality games. And they recommended this podcast called What Let's Watch Two Movies. And I listened to their Shawshank Redemption and I was like, oh, you know what? And they stopped in like 2021. So I was like, well, let me download the episodes I of the movies I want to hear more about. But that's a good one too. But those are the film podcasts I'm currently listening to. And every so often I listen to Unspooled, but I'm a little addicted to Argonauts. That's what I'm listening to these days. And anyways, what are you watching? They're big Bergman fans, which I think at the time when I was reading this back in 2014, I knew of Bergman, but I definitely didn't have any knowledge in my head about it. Uh-huh. And then 300 Rise of the Empire also coming out. I've still never seen that movie. Outside the Jean Grey School for Higher Learning now, and Mama Dupe is slapping her son, which is not uncommon, but also let's not be slapping kids, okay? And then we see why she's so mad at Dupe. He wanted to visit his dad at work, and then showing up at his father's work, the father apparently was the final straw, and he just left the family that day. So that's sad. And then Mama Dupes has started beating him ever since. And so it's just a lot of that where it's like, I don't love seeing this. But we get to Beast's lab and we get Kitty Pryde asking about Dupe. So that's nice. This is my least favorite issue of the miniseries, and I love all of all the other issues, but this is the one where clearly someone was like, "Hey, you can't secretly make a Kitty Pryde and Dupe miniseries. Like, if we're gonna make a Dupe miniseries, we gotta give his origins." And thankfully, Milligan did it. And if the Mario Galaxy movie taught us anything, Hollywood would have revealed Wolverine's origins before Marvel did it. So we have to know that despite themselves, Marvel had to tell Wolverine's origins. So Peter Milligan, creator of Dupe, you know, he got to do the origin story, so that's nice. Um, anyway, so in this thing, another part of the school, Ray's stabs his father, Wolver Logan, and then we're back to Mama Dupe still yelling at Dupe and just attacking him. He got tired of it enough that where he decided to start living in the real world and started making his documentaries, which led him to Ecstatics. And then he got very loved by um, men and women. Beautiful women and men just threw themselves at him. Then Ecstatics either all died or faked their deaths. And then we get Mama Dupe just criticizing him. And I only saved the one image, but turns out here they actually talk about Kitty Pryde. Dupe needed a new activity or a new obsession, and he went with Kitty. So I was like, oh, I gotta quickly save that image. So that should be fun on Sunday when I just literally do the cover and the Kitty Pride panels. It turns out there'd be two. And then you go, girl, and but no, I forget this guy's name. Artemis? Not Artemis. Antichrist. Are in their baths enjoying themselves when Duke comes in needing help, and he immediately goes, "No, I'll help you out." And it turns out there's a whole room full of dupes, so that's questionable. What happened there? And then all the dupes break it back into the Battle of the Atom crossover, but this page doesn't happen in the crossover itself. Well, that would have been silly. And Logan recognizes Dupe's in trouble and just immediately goes, "Hey, I want to leave the plot for a little bit and join you." And then Antichrist decides that he can't stick around too much longer, so it's just going to be Logan confronting Mama Dupe. And honestly, I don't remember how this ends. Probably because of my brain, it sort of stops at issue three. But we'll find out next episode, everybody. And that is All New Dupe, number 4. Um, in this week's comics, sadly, we're just losing legends all the time. And Sal Buscema finally got his Marvel tribute in all the books, and it's just always nice to see. Speaking of Spectacular Spider-Man, of course, they used the cover for Spectacular 200, which is just a gorgeous piece of work where it's Spider-Man versus Harry Osborn's Green Goblin. And because it's just a stellar run. I mean, I know Sal Buscema did, a legendary Incredible Hulk run and ROM, of course, and launched New Mutants. I mean, not the not the graphic novel, but like, he's the co-creator of Doug Ramsey. Like, he created some like major New Mutant characters and Magma. Anyway, so X-Men United 2. Here we go. Brr, brr, brr. Writers Dr. Eve L. Ewing. Artist is Tiago Palma. Color artist is Brian Rubber. And letter VC's Joe Sabino. Anyone else notice how Marvel doesn't credit them as colorists anymore? They're color artists. It's also noticing the lack of inkers these days. Like it just seems to be if you're a penciler, you're the inker as well. And I wonder what started that. I got both the regular cover by Stefano Caselli and Federico Blee, as well as the Ahmed Azhar variant with Kitty and Lockheed, who doesn't appear in this issue, nor is Marigold, so she's already living up to his legacy. They revealed a cover for issue 5, and looks like I don't know, it's an interesting choice, but it seems like they soft launched this, and then issue 5 is like, hey, you're going to start telling big stories now. Like, let's do this. So that should be interesting. Gray Matter Lane, a mind palace situated on a psychic plane. Ben Liu, who is getting more page time in these two issues than he's gotten in X-Men, is trying not to get burned alive. I love seeing Magik and Nightcrawler chatting. These two barely have history together, but I immediately remember that time Magik was opening up portals for Kurt during AXE Judgment Day. That was a great moment. I looked all over the background here to see if Bronze and Marigold could be found, but nope. I still like how this is the comic that's going to deliver us matchups that we wouldn't get elsewhere. Cyclops finally gets to Ben. Emma tells Scott that this was all for nothing. There was no reason to attempt to burn down the school. Plus, how does this even work? Emma states everyone's at lunch, so no one's noticing this fire, which I thought we could at least get a panel where Emma immediately shuts down the fire, but doesn't seem to be doing any harm. Quentin Quire actually is the person who started the fire, so his track record of failed school destructions now is 0-2. I love seeing the bookcase in the back here. There's a Weapon X helmet, Jean's yellow mask, and one of Storm's tiaras. That's a fun background detail. Meanwhile, Prodigy's trying to get Iceman and Kitty Pryde involved in how to teach combat teamwork. Kitty's distracted by Rogue's comments about internal threats, which is odd as half the school's on fire, but I guess she really didn't notice. Plus, the real threat is from Mr. Sinister. Unless the X office keeps them pretty busy, which I believe they are, but we'll get to that later. I like Emma talking about whatever did she see in Scott, but also I love Schema, but it's just fun to poke at that relationship. Iceman references Scott's flame war, so what is Kitty distracted by? Captain America stops by as he has a mission for the X-Men. Iceman starts talking like he's from the 30s, which I imagine Cap doesn't love. He wants to use the empathy machine engine to reach out to all the Weapon Plus people and make sure they are okay. Kitty is surprised. Well, I guess maybe they'll be considered the Weapon Zero program or the Super Soldier program because Cap's technically Weapon Zero. So they'll be the build up to Cap or be under the Cap umbrella, I suppose. I don't love Emma having to try to convince them to get on board here. It is Captain America asking for help, and it doesn't even seem like a big ask. Um, Kitty's surprised that Cap knows about the machine, which does have a pretty cool name, Empathy Engine. I imagine Cap does make Kitty think about World War II and all the deals with it, and her talking to Magneto immediately is there to make us think about those implications. I don't care about for the idea the X-Men had to vote. Oh, have a meeting to help Cap out. Maybe if it was to strategize about how to do it, but to vote on it, I'm not sure about. Emma and Prodigy vote yes. Iceman votes no. Kitty abstains, which all of this just feels weird. Prodigy's going to go pick the team, so that's fun. Prodigy picks Wolverine as she's the best. Melee, who I love, and apparently in the 50s, the Bureau of Indian Affairs moved her family to Chicago, so she's motivated. And Jitter, quite the trio of brunettes here. I like how the 50s felt long enough ago that it doesn't call into question any sliding timescale stuff, unlike the 80s that feels like it would question the sliding timescale. I also like how one of Laura's strongest character traits is how much she hates people being experimented on, especially against their will. Jitter is a wild card here. I like how impressed Cap is with this team. I do like Kitty and Beast being in the same room, though this isn't her Beast, so these two need to really connect and rebuild that relationship. Now the X-Men vote after this scene, that'll make so much more sense to me. B states it's possible to do the mission, but there's some major issues of gaps and errors to be accounted for. Axel doesn't want to do it as there are gaps and errors that haven't been accounted for. As far as we've seen, this will only be the second major test of the empathy engine. I guess in my mind, the thing worked by sending out a pulse and then the X-Men connect to it and we go from there. Like they think rescue kid and the engine links up to the kid. So to make this work, they'll send a pulse of all thoughts involving Weapon Plus, and anyone having those thoughts and memories gathers and links are made. That doesn't seem to be the case here. Maybe because they're creating a mind palace so they can interact with it, maybe. This could just be a case of comic book science and of course a war of fiction, so a problem has to happen. So cute, the hand holding here. Melee holds Jitter's hand, who is holding Captain America's hand, and he's holding Laura's hand. Jitter has her stutter here, but she seems overly scared, which makes me think that's more of a Calicchio character trait. Jitter recognizes she's in a haunted house and is worried about dying. I do like her wanting to hold Melee's hand, though I don't love that for Becca. But this also makes me feel like something Becca would want to do, find a strong lady and hold her hand. Not necessarily what Jitter will do. Cap comes across a young Maurice Canfield, but then he immediately turns old and evil. Canfield, that is. 70s Beast believes he has made a major oopsie, but a pretty solid second issue. Um, dur, 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 dur. Magic and Colossus 3, writer Ashley Allen, artist Herman Peralta, color artist Arthur Helsey, letter VC's Ariana Maurer, and I got the variant cover by Nibet Mavavia. The Rasputin Household, UST Orinsky Collective, Russia, then. Young Peter Piotr is getting super bullied, which I don't care for. Mama Rasputina, who we never really got much of before, needs to toughen up her middle child. Is probably the youngest we've ever seen Ilyana as a little baby. Now, Ilyana is in an arena being run by Kosheri, who is trying to absorb magic. The concept, not the character. I like how smart Ileana is. She knows what's the plan, so she's just punching and kicking goons and doing quite well for herself. Then Magic has a fight. Cow, Cows, Kaoz, Cows? No, I bet it's just simple cows. Who seemed very familiar to me, and I wasn't sure if we were going to get an editor note telling us where we knew him from. He made his first appearance in Jason Aaron and Chris Bachalo's Doctor Strange Volume 4, Issue 7, prior to the last days of Magic arc that I own many issues of, which I'm sure whenever we get a Doctor Strange 3 will be the storyline I cover on the pod. The Lucky Bear, St. Petersburg, Russia, Piotr is hassling some goons in hopes to lead him to where Ileana is. I like that we get a Mikhail reference here. That's how Piotr knows who to talk to in the Russia criminal underground. Colossus is one of the few guys who can headbutt a fool and not also take damage doing so. I love Magic and Cal's chemistry so much. They are in danger, but they're not in serious danger, so they're just having fun. Colossus breaks through the barrier and starts helping out. Did I need 4 pages? Is Colossus getting closer to Magic? No. Shows that he's on the right track and surprises with the reveal. Like, this is just such great pacing. If Ashley Allen could do 3 titles a month, I would just love that. But it's rare when a writer gets 2 titles and 2 in the same office. Like, that's impressive. The trio leaves and Koshausi takes it pretty well. Um, Colossus rips off a demon cow's head. That's pretty intense. Anyone start watching Primate now on Paramount Plus? We thought the trailer looked good and been eager for it to start streaming somewhere. We got to the first scare, a gorilla ripping off some dude's face, and Walker D noped out. I should try to go back, but it's hard to watch a movie by myself. The demon cow wasn't as intense as that scene. So they leave. I love so much the 3 pages we get of Ileana and Piotr sharing their feelings. I just love them communicating. It was worth the effort. I also love so much that Ileana takes after her mother. If this entire main series was to make us love Mama Rasputina, then mission accomplished. Count Cowles is leading the Rasputins to his ex-girlfriend's house, his ex-girlfriend being Baby Yaga, who is not happy to see Cowles. And who, if you fought, played Rise of the Tomb Raider, you fight for a little bit. So That's my Baby Yaga or Baba Yaga experience. Next issue should be very fun. Um, then we get Ultimate Wolverine 16, the writers Chris Condon, artists Alessandro Cappuccio, color artist Brian Valiza, letter VC's Travis Nathan, and for whatever reason, I bought two covers. The regular cover by Alessandro Cappuccio and Frank Martin that had Ultimate Sprite on it. And then I also got the Francisco Mana and Mattia Ionco variant that had Magik and Logan on it. Final issue. We get Magik continuing her origin story. One day on Earth equals 1 week in Ultimate Limbo. When she went missing, her father was utterly broken. Colossus, on the other hand, was determined to find her. When he couldn't, he assumed she was taken by the dark forces. Magik had become a dark child, which is just cool to work all of her monikers into the story. I love so much that Colossus took care of her. She wasn't a monster to him, but his sister. Also, sleeping such a great cure for all ails. Baga Castle Yoroja. Logan and Jean are trying to find a way into Limbo. They find a person who can open and they both can open a portal when they both enter it. They locate the missing people and Jean starts getting all of them to safety. Logan's going to head off by himself to confront Magik. She comes across a dreamscape and sees Colossus chopping wood. Logan finds Magik sleeping on her bed with her giant soul sword out. A younger Ilyana shows up with her little teddy bear. Little Ilyana wants Logan to read her a story, just one story. My heart is breaking reading these pages. I love so much that Logan, the cure that he is, still read her a story. There's always time for one last story. But he didn't forget what Magik did to him, the mind control turning him into the ultimate Winter Soldier. Logan kills Magik. Jean rescues Logan. They're ready now for Ultimate Endgame 5. So this is the new Ultimate Universe killed both Catherine Pride and Magik. We never got Lockheed introduced or even teased. I would love to say this is me being done with the Ultimate Universe, but I can't as I've already pre-ordered Ultimate Endgame 4 and 5. And I've been searching every panel for Magik, but that's not going to be necessary anymore. I imagine we might get see them as characters in a that we lost along the way montage. I also pre-ordered Ultimate Finale in the first issue of the Miles Morales Ultimate Reborn miniseries. But I'm definitely done with this Ultimate Universe. All my enthusiasm for it is gone. It is nice before bonus issues we got Magik's origin story, but also our last. And then some quick reviews. Godzilla Infinity War 3. Godzilla is slowly making his way to Earth. Thankfully for us, he has to pass Asgard, who puts up a huge fight against him. We see Magik and the X-Men, Storm, Jean Grey, and Cyclops helping out Captain America. Silver Surfer confronts Godzilla and realizes Godzilla is powered by Galactus, so he's completely out of his pretty high power scale. We believe Godzilla is defeated, but time will tell. Plus, there are two more issues. Reed Richards wants to call Doctors Strange and Doom for help, but Doom has other plans as he seems to be working with Noel, who is in two comics I had to read this week, which I don't appreciate. Inglorious X-Force 4, pretty interesting issue. I really appreciate how the bulk of the issues the team dealing with the explosion. For whatever reason, Boom Boom doesn't remember Domino being involved, so everyone thinks Tabitha threw a bomb at Cable, but he knows she wouldn't willfully attempt to do that. Turns out I was wrong. It was a squirrel this entire time, not a chipmunk. I like Domino naming him Mr. Chubby Cheeks, so that's adorable. Tabitha and Akihiro talk about how it doesn't have to be a one night stand, so I like that. Warren went out on a date with Maxine Danger, which I like that idea. Warren isn't handling his new power set well. He's becoming forgetful. Like, same. Miss Marvel slept over at the Danger living room as it has more channels than she gets at home. A slew of fighting happens at the end as the team comes across the Nasty Boys, and if the Nasty Boys are around, then Mr. Sinister can't be too far behind. So I imagine he's busy here, so he can't be undermining the Gray Matter lane. Again, if you want a title that really delves into team dynamics, this is the title for you. Earth's Storm, Earth's Mightiest Mutant 3. A lot of plot is happening this issue. Ogun, but not the cool samurai one, but an evil god one, summons a slew of dead X-Men, including Magik. No Kitty from what I could see. Oh, there's a nightmarish Magik here and in Cyclops' current series, or at least in issue 2. Dead Magik had to call in Null and two other people. So yeah, Wanda showed up towards the end of like, hey, other Magic users who Storm's probably gonna need to call in for help. Next episode, we are going to talk about Spider-Man Superman 1, Cyclops Volume 4 3, Rogue Volume 4 4, Wolverine Volume 819, which I saw preview pages of, and just a lot of Logan talking to Hercules still. So I'm like, if Silver Sable's not in this, I don't know. Inferno Hulk 6, Sorcerer Supreme 5, Wade Wilson Deadpool 3, and Hulk Smash Everything 5, which I believe should be the final issue of that. So, um, I was just seeing if any of my top 10. Oh, yeah, 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 of course it did. X-Men United 1 stays at number 1, but Magik Colossus 3 now is at 2. Moonstar 2, Avengers Volume 934 at number 5, Generation X 23 1 with AOA Shadow Cat that I still don't know why she was there. Number 6, Sorcerer Supreme 3, Wolverine Volume 817, X-Men Volume 728. Number 9, Uncanny X-Men Volume 626, and rounding out the batch, Cyclops Volume 4, Number 2. So everyone, that was episode 225 of Shadow and Flame of Magic. You can follow me on socials, all socials at JackOSII. The podcast socials be SNFWM. Um, and since there's only the cover and 2 images, I probably will be posting those on Blue Sky as well as the Instagram video. Um, and of course, you can read all my comic book reviews at shadowandflameofmagic.com. And don't fret, never have a shadow of a doubt. Ignite those flames and make like magic and get out there in the world. And thank you so much for listening or watching, our dear YouTube friends. And I, beloved listener, watcher, ought to talk at you next time. All right, everyone. Bye.